It's safe to say that Captivate.fm is one of the best upcoming podcast hosting platforms. Let me show you why. Now before I get into today's video, be sure to hit subscribe, hit the little bell notification, and also leave a like on today's video. And if you want to launch a successful podcast, then I have a checklist and description that you should follow, and I can guarantee you success will come. So the platform I'm going to be going over today is obviously Captivate.fm, and there's a free trial down in the description if you want to get started with it. But why do I feel like Captivate just stands out? Why am I so excited about this platform? Well, the main three for like podcast hosting platforms have been Libsyn, Buzzsprout, and Podbean, and that's about it. And to be honest, mate, that's dead. I need something new and spicy that I can recommend to all of my clients, that I can recommend to anyone, and I feel like this platform might be it. It's incredible. Now I'm going to read off some of the stuff that, stands out. First off, it's straightforward pricing. You're mostly paying for downloads, and why this is important is because you're not having to worry about anything else. You just have to worry about the downloads, and likelihood your downloads when you're starting out aren't going to be massive, so you can just go with their basic plan and then you can upgrade at any time. Now each customer with any of the plans, you're guaranteed to get the following things: a visually appealing and easy to use podcast player on all devices. So I'll go over all of these in more detail in a bit. Built-in CTAs on your podcast player, unlimited podcasts, great support, advanced and in-depth analytics for your podcast, create private podcasts for members only, that's very cool. Easy one-click for podcast directories, marketing tools, and unlimited team members. So I'm going to go over all of them. There is one more thing, which is an easy-to-use interface, which is quite refreshing, but most podcast hosting platforms also have a good platform to see. But this one is a bit more modern and stands out a bit more. But the podcast player. So let's say you're promoting your podcast on other methods other than just the social media, and you're using your website. Let's say you have a WordPress website and you want to put your podcast on there. But the thing is let's say you're using Buzzsprout or Libsyn. The podcast player looks horrible. It generally looks horrible. Now you either have to go and pay someone specifically to code one for you, which is not what you want to do, or you can use a plugin like Fusebox, but that makes it even more complicated and you'll end up having to pay money anyway. Or you could use Captivate's, and Captivate's one does look pretty cool. It's visually appealing and there's no reason not to use it. To be honest, I think out of all of the podcast hosting platforms, it's the nicest looking one. And that's what you want realistically. A follow-up to that is the podcast player CTAs. Now, with having a podcast player, you've got all your episodes on there. You've got play, fast forward, pause, obviously. What you also want is a directory, sort of like your podcast player to be like a bridge page of a sales funnel, where you can direct your traffic elsewhere. You can have your social media on there, you can have your website on there, you can have a specific page on there, you can have whatever. So it out links to other directories, as it were. Now, unlimited podcasts. Now, this is what I mentioned before with their straightforward podcast pricing, that is. Because with some platforms, you have to pay for more podcasts, you have to pay for more episodes, you have to pay for more stuff, and it just makes everything a lot more complicated. But within Captivate, unlimited episodes, unlimited podcasts, it makes your life a lot easier, a lot more stress-free. Now, their support is fantastic, because let's say you don't have a team, you're not paying someone to edit your podcast and manage your podcast like us at Diligence Media. We edit and we manage, so if that is something of interest to you, just let us know in the comments. But let's say you're doing it all yourself, right? And you don't have a clue what you're doing because it is a massively extensive thing. If you don't have a massive amount of knowledge in it, you will struggle. And if you're using another platform, again, that you don't know how to use, you're going to want some support, you're going to want some help, and Google might not cut it for you in trying to find what you want. So their support system is incredible, and any questions you have about Captivate, or potentially you can sneak in some podcast questions, I'm sure they'll be happy to help. Now, advanced and in-depth analytics. Now, growing your podcast will be bloody difficult without the likes of analytics, because you don't know what's going to happen to your podcast. You don't know if you're going to get rapid growth or small growth. You don't know where the growth is going to be. You don't know the drop-off rate. You don't know why this episode has done much better than this episode without the use of analytics. So to have a massively extensive, in-depth analytic perspective of your podcast that Captivate offers, that's brilliant. That is always a green flag, because you're like, now I know how I can grow my podcast. Now, create private podcasts for members only. This is very unique. I haven't really seen this before. I've seen it if you want. Basically what it is you can have a private podcast for members only. So you can charge like a membership rate. Why is this good? So let's say you're offering it as like a bonus for a course. Let's say you have a course coming up. That course is a high ticket price, and as one of your bonuses, you're going to have this private podcast that you can offer. Now, obviously, podcasts, they're public, and there is ways that you can offer your podcast privately, but it's more difficult. But so to offer this as a feature by Captivate is not only a clever idea, but it's bloody done good by them, because it stands out. It allows you to have a private podcast. You could as well have a public podcast if you wanted, but you could have a private podcast as well. If you didn't know how to charge, or if you didn't want to offer it as a bonus, you could have it as a recurring rate. So let's say you've got direct debit set up, and someone's paying you like $3.99 or $9.99 or whatever for that podcast. That's passive income. We all love passive income. Now, marketing tools. Marketing material is huge, and a lot of people don't think about it. They kind of just make the podcast, and the content might be incredible, but unless you're promoting it, you're not going to grow. You might get some organic help, you might get some organic growth, as it were, but for the most part you won't, and your podcast will remain stale, and it might die out. You might get frustrated that you're not getting any results, and you might end up stopping the podcast. So you're going to want to grow it by marketing it, and you're going to want to use marketing tools or marketing methods. Now, there is stuff that you can do yourself 100%. I recommend that to anyone, but if it is a platform that also helps you with your marketing, 100% use it, because you might find that you're going to save a lot of time. If you're saving time, why wouldn't you want to use it? So that's one of the features within Captivate, and they also have like an email marketing section within that, which is massively beneficial. Now, unlimited team members. So let's say you are gonna have a team or an agency. You edit your podcast, right? They're managing your podcast, but you still want to have sort of like a management overview to make sure, one, it's going all smoothly, two, it's going the way that you want it to go, and three, you just want to make sure that everything is going as planned, as what they have agreed with, like the agency you're working with. And you can have unlimited team members. You can have as many people on there. Let's say you have a VA as well. You can have your VA on there, and you can set tasks for those team members. Brilliant. Now, number 10 is something I didn't actually mention in the prior, and it's workflow. So automation is massive. Being able to automate not only your podcast, but your business is huge. You want to automate most things in life because it's going to save you time. And it's going back to this thing of saving time. You don't want to be doing everything manually, because if you're doing everything manually, it's going to frustrate you. It's going to just piss you off, and to be honest, you're going to burn out. You will burn out. If you're having to do everything manually, you're going to burn out. Now, they have integration with the following platforms: Captive, Omni, Search, Zapier Automation. Zapier is incredible, by the way. Reusable show note templates, set default publish times, and also a Descript integration. So Descript, that's your transcripts, your show notes, etc. Integration with those platforms is brilliant. Automating your podcasts with your business is fantastic. I suggest looking into that. It's 100% things that anyone should look into. Automation is fantastic, otherwise known as workflow. So just in case you get confused, the wording, workflow, automation, same shabazzle. But anyway, that is why I recommend Captivate. You know, those are all the standalone features, and it's an upcoming platform, right? Their pricing at the moment is pretty phenomenal with all the features they have to offer. And if you go onto Trustpilot, you know, you don't want to just take my word for it. Go onto Trustpilot and have a look at Captivate and see the positive reviews for yourself. To be honest, it surprised me how good their reviews are. It's mostly 4 and 5 stars, and that's rare to see for a podcast hosting platform. But this one, though, you know, it's still smallish business, as it were, compared to the likes of maybe their competitors like Buzzsprout and Libsyn. It's a powerhouse. It's a little bloody Jack Russells, it were, little ratty buggers. It's a big powerhouse, mate. And I do recommend, you know, if you're gonna start out your podcasting, have a look at Captivate.fm. And remember, if you do want to try it out, I do have a free trial in the description. Great thing about free trial, as I mentioned in a previous video, is you can set up your podcast with that free trial. But go and have a look at it down in the description if you want to go and get it. And if you did enjoy today's video, be sure to hit subscribe, hit the little bell notification, and also leave a like on today's videos. It lets me know that you enjoyed the video. And yeah, anyway guys, we're going to head off, so take care and peace.